Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. I'm not quite sure. It's 11 o'clock on today, April 21st, 2020. I believe it is the 8,000th day of quarantine. At least it feels like it. Um, Quick weather update. Outside is outside. I haven't seen it in a bunch of weeks. Kind of forgot what it looks like, but I hope everyone that is with us this morning, afternoon, is feeling well. SGA Live today is coming to you very simply and directly as a chat with me to talk about how folks are doing and what kinds of things you have going on during this quarantine. Um, as always, we're trying to keep you abreast of the latest information as it pertains to the stuff that's happening uh, at Gutman virtually, because as you all know, we're not allowed to be on campuses right now, or our campus specifically. So let's get rid of this image real quick, because you all know who you're here with, and just talk about some stuff that's going on in the world real quick. So every Tuesday at 11:30, the Wellness Center is hosting yoga and mindfulness, virtual yoga and mindfulness courses. And so new videos every Tuesday. So there should be a video coming out in exactly 22 minutes. If you want to do some yoga, I highly recommend that you check that stuff out. It's another way of keeping yourself physically active during this quarantine, so that you don't get hit with what people are starting to call the Rona 25. Depending on how you're living your life, that's either a good thing or a bad thing. I know for me, I don't I don't need the Rona 25. But this little one who you hear singing the alphabet is keeping me pretty active running around the house. So hopefully we'll be pretty good. The other thing is you probably watched the news this morning maybe to get your latest update with stuff that's happening in the world. The most important thing being that get yourself registered to vote. CUNY makes it very easy for you to do that through your Blackboard. And so if you're a student, if you're a staff member, if you're someone that just likes to hang out at Gutman, get yourself registered to vote, and let's help make some changes down in DC for the better of our country. That's all I'm going to say about that. The other thing that's important to know is that Health and Wellness is doing mental health screenings, and so for the remainder of the time that we're in this lockdown and probably well into our return back to campus, people's mental health is of incredible importance, and we want to make sure that folks know what they're feeling, and if you're having some difficulties dealing with the current situation in this lockdown, there are people that you can talk to. So email wellness@gutman.cuny.edu, or go to screening.mentalhealthscreening.org/GCC wellness to get yourself screened and going, and that'll be good. So yeah, okay, so we're done with the sharing conversation. Towards the end of the conversation, I'm going to put up some more stuff. But folks are just coming back off of spring break. Typically, when we think about college students and spring break, this is a time for them to get themselves out into the world. A lot of people go down in vacation, Florida, the Caribbean, some exotic tropical location, and have fun. But we're not allowed to travel. So I'm curious to know from folks is what kind of things did you do during the spring break to make it feel like spring break, if you were able to make it sound like spring break? Okay, so please, share in the comments if you can what you've been up to, so we could, talk about it. It'll give me some stuff to chat about with you all. I'll tell you that my spring break is pretty much everything that you're hearing right now. A moody 2-year-old who needs all the attention whenever I've got the camera on. And so as much as I love this child, she is starting to become every bit the camera hog. So that's what we got going on. Folks, no one's typing in the chat like what you've been doing, like your morning routine. Tell me that you've been doing yoga in the morning. Tell me that you've been running or biking. Tell me that you've learned really good recipes and stuff. About the only cooking I've managed to do is breakfast for the little one and I. Scrambled eggs, scrambled eggs with cheese, buttered bagels, and we sit down as much as I can with a 2-year-old and we eat. Then and then it's about a good 20-30 minutes before we have snacks. A lot of snacks. We'll get into that discussion a little bit. Um, our friend Latoya tells me that she turned up the heat to 1,000 to feel like she was on a Caribbean island. That's expensive. But also, man, do I wish I was in a Caribbean island right now with a coconut or a pineapple in my hand, eating a mango or something like that. That'd be delicious. Um, okay, now we've got stuff happening in the chat. Very good. So, whipped coffee. This is a thing, right? So the internet keeps bringing us things in the form of challenges, in the form of like stuff to do to occupy ourselves. And so this whipped coffee challenge thing has been happening. And I've seen pictures of people doing that stuff to various degrees of success or not. So curious to know. Apparently, Ermonica made the whipped coffee. Did it come out well, Ermonica? Did it not? And you know what's a good thing is if you feel like talking, there's so few people in this chat, we can actually allow folks to go ahead and talk. My only ask is that you unmute your microphone to talk, and then you mute yourself right after so that we don't have a lot of background noise. Um, so we can do that. But Monica, talk to me about your whipped coffee. What did you do? How did you make it? Did you follow the ingredients exactly as they were posted, or did you make your own variation?
The first time I did it, it just said to use coffee and things like that. And I went into my drawer and I got coffee, right? But like as I'm mixing it, after I add the water, the sugar, and as I'm mixing it, I noticed something was wrong. And then that's when I read the package. The coffee that I got, it wasn't instant coffee.
Ah.
So I was whipping like coffee and it wasn't whipping. So I had to go to the store, get me some instant coffee,
Okay.
and then I put it in there. I added some sugar. I added a little bit. Yeah, I used ground coffee instead of instant coffee the first time.
Okay.
And then I I added a tablespoon of 2 tablespoons of coffee, 1 teaspoon of water, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and then I whipped it, but I use a wheel whisk because like I did old fashioned because I don't have all these technology where people just press a button and it just whip itself. Like literally had to whip it for like a few 15 minutes, and then
Yeah.
my hands got tired. And I was just whipping. I was just whipping. I was just whipping, and then it started to whip. It started
Okay.
to whip. I added my I added my almond milk and I added some oat milk together. So I did a mixture of almond milk and oat milk and then put it in there. It tasted good. It tasted good. Although,
Okay.
I used guac the first time.
All right.
You
So,
know,
would you say it was worth the work? Because it sounds like this is work. This isn't something that's going to come very
yeah,
easily.
it worked the work because especially like if you used to, because I used to get iced coffee almost every day from Starbucks. If you used to get that, that's what it tastes like. It tastes like the water mocha, the bottle mocha from Starbucks, the one that they sell at the vending machines. That's exactly what it tastes like to me. When
Mm,
I,
okay.
although I didn't use real milk, I didn't use like um real milk, although I used plain milk, it still tasted like, those Starbucks bottle drinks.
Okay.
But it's worth it. It's, in my opinion, it's worth it.
All right.
Just make
So when we get back to the office, the expectation is going to be that you're going to make some for us on campus. So get ready.
just make sure you give me instant coffee instead of ground coffee.
We could do that. We could do that.
Okay.
I guess there's something to the instant coffee that makes it, work as opposed to the regular coffee. Speaking of coffee, and a quick plug, totally unsolicited, but I was talking to Hector Castillo. If you remember Hector, last year he was the SGA president from 2 years ago, um, and he opened a coffee business. And he's been doing a lot of good work around that. So if you follow him on Instagram, Don Carvajal Coffee, um, but maybe he's about this whipped coffee life. Apparently everybody's raving about it, so we're gonna have to see what's going on with that. Moving on from coffee, Cesarina writes in the chat, I'm rethinking my idea about having 5 children. Um, that's that is a true statement for many people right now who are realizing the important and hard work of teachers. Um, because some folks have the one kid at home, others have two or potentially more. Teachers have all of your children in the classroom all at the same time. So we talk about this era of recognizing heroes and the work that they're doing, and we certainly want to shout out our frontline workers, our first responders, our essential personnel who are out there doing their very best to help people through this very tough time. Um, but there's another unsung hero out there, and it's the teachers who took it upon themselves through their teaching craft to show our children um, the way, whether that's teaching content, whether that's teaching them just things to be successful in life. And having a child in the house is a difficult thing. I'm struggling with one. I can't imagine how other folks are making out with, two, three, four, or five. Um, but Ceci, this is also an unnatural time. So chances of you having what I think would be called quintuplets. I mean, that's a special, couple of times in a lifetime kind of thing. Chances are you'd have them spaced apart, um, and and we wouldn't be in a quarantine. And so I think you'd be able to put that thing together. But how many of us, quickly you could just type it into the chat or unmute yourself and jump into the conversation. How many of us are currently sheltering in place with a child, let's say under 10 years of age, um, all the way to baby? Because I got a 2-year-old, and let me tell you, she is demanding of all of my attention. Um, and while I appreciate the time that I have with her, it is a tough road to haul. Um, so talk to me about what's going on with you with the kids in the house. Are we giving the kids instant coffee? I would probably recommend we do not do that. They don't need the caffeine. They're already hopped up as it is, especially if you're giving them sugar-based snacks. Probably one of the best things that you could do is run around the house with them and tire them out and get them to nap time as quickly as possible. Um, Over here, we play the Cookie Monster's gonna eat you, and I become the Cookie Monster and I run after the baby. And in our apartment, which really there's only one path that we could run. It's from my home office to the kitchen and back, with the variation to maybe the bathroom. Um, but interestingly enough, I get more tired than the baby, so I may have to rethink that strategy. But uh, you know, talk to me. Kids in the house? No kids in the house? What kinds of things are we doing to help them make sense of this, because as much as we're struggling with this new routine, I'm not going to call it the new normal. People have tried to call it the new normal. I don't like that term. There's nothing normal about this. We'll just call it a routine. This new routine is difficult for us, um, but children, I can only imagine that they're struggling with this stuff too, and being indoors and not having the usual opportunities to go outside and play and see their friends and stuff. So I can only imagine. So Ceci has two, an 8-year-old and a 9-year-old. This is a very curious age for them. They're smart. They're able to ask questions. They're able to start to put together some critical thinking. They need to be engaged. They may be used to this virtual interface. Technology is not necessarily new to them, but using it this way is. And apparently, word on the street is that um, the millennial generation is now beginning to turn its nose on technology and connectivity, where before it was a hallmark of the millennial experience. Now it seems they're getting tired of being connected all the time, and having to use what used to be a fun medium for work. I think it's an interesting switch in the approach to social media. So, Ceci, what kind of things are you doing to engage the 8 and 9-year-old? What are you doing arts and crafts with them? Are you playing games? Are we doing game night? Are you their teacher? I do know that you want to work with the youth professionally as your career goal. What kind of thing do you have going on there?
Um,
And there she is.
I, they have art class, so they it's pretty balanced. They have the day pretty busy. They spend the day doing homework, so they have a lot of things to do during the day. And during the night, they just want to be on the tablets, so they spend the night playing games.
Okay, what kind of games do we have the kids playing?
They like Warcraft.
Warcraft,
Yeah, I
really
see
good
them
game.
playing between them all the time.
Okay, so no Candy Crush, no what's the other one with the guy Maze Runner, I think, or the guy who runs through the thing with the animal chasing him.
Oh no, no, those are like I think those are older people game.
Okay, I see what you did there. Very cool. I don't play mobile gaming myself. Last week when we did SGA live with Narayan, we were talking about video games, and we did focus heavily on Xbox and PS4 and a little bit of computer games. So we didn't really talk about mobile gaming, but that's one way to keep the children occupied. The one thing we want to caution, and I'm trying to do it with my daughter, but it's really hard, is I don't want her hooked on the tablet, right? I want her to be able to engage her imagination and play with the toys. And so I've got like 1,000,001 toys for her. Paw Patrol dolls, Wonder Woman dolls. We got balls, we got blocks. We've got uh, fake grocery cart and fake makeup. And so she's entertained, and she disappears into her own little world, and I think that's great. Um, so while the tablets are good, I recommend that we also take a break from that kind of stuff. And I think that'll be my point for today's conversation, is that something to remember as we start to roll through this new routine is that one of my colleagues said a really good quote to me, and they said that engagement is not only entertainment. And so what we took that to mean is that in our rush to find ways to connect with our audiences, right? And there's a lot of different ones of you. There's our professional audience, there's our student audience, there's our colleague audience, there's our friends audience. That let's not only seek to mindlessly entertain and distract ourselves, but let's also use that time to connect as much as possible with people and check in on them and see how folks are doing. This 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 quarantine has really upset our way of being, and I imagine that as we come off of this, we're going to be shell shocked a little bit and have some post traumatic stress that's going to come off of this. And so, how do we make sense of this? How do we take care not only of ourselves but of the people that we care about? And that's by checking in on them. And so sometimes while you're doing your Zoom chats or your WebEx or your Ring Central or your FaceTime or Snapchats, is take some time to ask people how they're doing and have that conversation, because you may find that there's some people struggling. We've got folks that are living by themselves. We've got some folks that are taking care of parents. We got some folks that are taking care of children. We got some folks who suffer from depression or some other mental illness that are now having those conditions exacerbated by being forced to be home and alone. How do you create time for yourself? So you're in this space with these people, your family, your roommates, in some cases, your friends. How do you cut out time for yourself and have them understand that, like, sometimes you just need to put on your headphones and listen to music and disconnect? And, speaking of, real quick diversion, on Thursday, we're going to be talking with Cesarina during SGA Live about BTS, K-pop boy band phenomenon that has swept the nation. We're going to be talking about their music and about how she's utilizing K-pop to and her love of BTS to keep herself sane during this time. But how do you put on your headphones and is it music? Is it meditation? Is it white noise? Is it is it a podcast? Is it an audio book? Like, create a sport where you can just be with yourself and centered. And that's good. That's a very necessary thing. So we're coming up on the half-hour mark. I don't want to keep people for too long. I think we talked about a lot of topics. I'm going to just show a couple of quick things, and I know I'm transitioning quickly, but it's only because I'm mindful that, like, folks got stuff to do. So like I said, this Thursday, 4/23 at 3 p.m. through this very same channel, we're going to have Senator Cesarina Checo talking about BTS, Korean boy band K-pop sensation, and her love of that stuff, and how we might make a connection to this Korean phenomenon and introduce it into our own lives. I personally think there's too many of them. You don't need a 16-person band. It feels like there's 16 of them dancing around the stage. Like, give me 2 or 3. That's it. But that's a different conversation. At Gutman, we are hosting, as much as we can host, virtual tours of the historically black colleges and universities. And so our Office for Advising and Transfer Support has put together a, we'll get to your comments in a minute, LJ, tour for Howard University, Morgan State, Delaware State, Virginia State. And these are, virtual visits that you can do online. So that poster is up right now. So you can, take a screenshot of that, or it's also hosted on the Gutman web pages. The other one that we're doing, first time, brand new out the box, fresh, unpacked, is the Hispanic Serving Institution College Tour. And these colleges include Eastern Connecticut State, Mercy College, Nyack College, Montclair State, and Rutgers University. So please take advantage of that if you are graduating, if you know someone who is, that's not going to remain in CUNY, but wants to go to an institution that is a Hispanic serving or an HBCU, please recommend that they check that stuff out. Peer mentors are still meeting up with folks throughout the rest of the academic term. And so the meetups schedule is up there for you to see and take a look at. What else we got? The Disability Arts Campaign. This is through the Office of Accessibility Services and Gutman's CUNY Council for Students with Disabilities group. The deadline is April 30th, so you've got 9 days to take advantage of this potential to win a $25 Amazon gift card. And finally, we'll end with the meditation. As I was talking about creating that space for yourself, we're going to end on that note. You know, while we're working with our communities and trying to make sense of this new circumstances that we find ourselves under, meditation. I've tried it in the past. I haven't done it recently, full disclosure. But it's something that if I can find 10 minutes when the little one is napping, I may be able to do that. And so the website is there. It's eepurl.com/EG space 92G5, and that's meditation. Folks, I want to thank you for taking time to spend the afternoon with us, the early afternoon with us on this frosty Tuesday evening. My sincere hope is that you're taking time to take care of yourselves and others, and that you're being kind to yourself. Sometimes just existing is enough, and we got to remind ourselves of that. And so be kind to yourself, be kind to each other, and if you have a moment, check us out tomorrow when we bring you episode 4 of State of the Grizz. That's going to be Wednesday, March 22nd. March. You see, I'm all confused. April 22nd. Oh my God. Wednesday, April 22nd at 3 p.m., where Dean Pryor and I will be hosting a conversation with Nelson Castro and talking about services that are available for undocumented students and the undocumented community, resources that are available for them, and ways that they can connect with Gutman to ensure that they're being taken care of and having their needs met through what is undoubtedly a difficult time for them as well. So, with that being said, it's 11:34. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Latoya. Thank you, Edwin, Hermanica, Cesarina. Thank you, Viviana, for hanging out with us. Hope you have a great day, and we will see you Wednesday and Thursday. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.